when it comes to public health, there should be stricter rules firstly. So if we are having ketchup, okay, how much sugar should companies be adding in it? Fats are extremely essential. They are being demonized in today's world that fats are bad for you. Not all fats are bad. If your gut health is good, you will end up having better immunity than most people. If your gut health is good, you will have a higher metabolism. You will even have a sharper brain because your gut is. So pre-diabetes, first of all, should not be treated like this is something pre.
Joining me today is nutritionist Mehak Shah, who has shared her expert opinion with us in the past. Thank you so much for giving us your time, Mehak.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Pleasure. Lately, I have come to understand the importance of preventive actions in how we eat and how we live our life determines our health in the future. So exercise, gut health, nutrition, these three seem to be the pillar of one's health. I want to spend some time today with you and discuss about our food habit. First thing first, reports show that 1 in 3 Indians are pre-diabetic. I'm sure our food habits play a big role in this. So let's understand sugar and our love for sugar.
Right. So the number is actually quite scary. It's more than 100 million people in India who are suffering from diabetes and more than 130 million people having pre-diabetes. And then there are many more who have high blood sugar levels and, on the verge of getting pre-diabetes and diabetes. So pre-diabetes, first of all, should not be treated like this is something pre. It is already diabetes. You should consider it, first of all. You're already at an alarming stage. Yeah. And when it comes to our diet, we think that, okay, chocolate is really bad. We think that, yes, if we only change one habit in our life, if we just remove mangoes, if we just remove, high bananas, high sugary things, will be sorted. This diet cokes and all, if you just start consuming it, the things will change. The problem and root causes that are, previous habits only, the older habits only are not good. So we are still eating. I still see diabetic people having tea with biscuit. So isn't biscuit bad? Is it not worse than chocolate? Because chocolate is something that you're consuming once in a week. But in this biscuit and chai, you're consuming every day. Yeah. Then we have, we might think that, I'm having protein. I'm having this paneer tikka, this is protein. But then what are you having it with? You're having it with ketchup. Yeah. Doesn't ketchup has sugar? Yes. So we are ignoring multiple parts of our lifestyle, calling ourselves healthy every day that, I've made a change in my lifestyle. I only consume homemade food from now onward. Okay, but are you still consuming white rice? Isn't white rice also a processed form? Are we still consuming milled flour? So these small things we need to take care of. Are we still consuming enough salads? Are we still putting a lot of potatoes everywhere, even though we are diabetic? So these things need to be addressed. Then just thinking that, let's say once in a while, if I consume chow mein, it's just gonna go really bad from here. And let's focus on the things that we are doing every day.
Yes. And that's scary because I haven't really thought about ketchup or having tea with biscuit, which I do every day, at least twice or 3 times. So these are scary things that we need to remember. How do you think this impacts public health, at least regarding diabetes?
It impacts the most, I would say. So any kind of white sugar, maida product, any kind of baked product, white rice, or even just white rice, I'm talking about, not complemented with any sort of oils or dals, lentils and all that. I'm only talking about white rice, white bread, even brown bread that you're having on everyday basis will spike up your blood sugar levels. Yeah. And this spike will crash down after some time. And then you'll have that feeling of, I need something again.
Yes.
Because it's crashing down. Your blood sugars are crashing down now.
Yes.
Isn't it? So definitely these constant spikes will ultimately impair your insulin. You will end up having insulin resistance, meaning that your cells are not anymore as sensitive to insulin as they were. And you'll crave for more sugar and you'll have diabetes. Insulin resistance is type 2 diabetes, by the way. So if that happens, then definitely you're going to end up having diabetes. So when it comes to public health, there should be stricter rules firstly. So if we are having ketchup, how much sugar should companies be adding in it? If you're having pastries and all, how much sugar should be there? Or the portion sizes in the packs, government should definitely intervene here. And as an individual, it's our responsibility as well. We need to consider our bodies as temples. We are living here. There's no way that we are going out of it. So we need to consider that, I need to have salads. I need to have whole grains. I need to have lentils. I need to have everything. We need to add a lot of variety in our food. If you're only having carbs, we are doing it all wrong.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have been doing this wrong because we tend to eat a lot of white rice.
So that is the problem, basically. That's what I was about to say. If you're having too much of it, then definitely it is bad. Okay, one square of chocolate won't cause any problem. It may, but then if you just start eating healthy from the next day, you are doing well. I mean, better than I think 99.9% of the population. If you just have one square of chocolate or just have a little serving of white, right, that's absolutely fine. If you keep having it every day and again without white rice with potatoes, it's only carbs. Where is your dal? You need to have smaller amount of these, and carbs any which ways is overrated. We need to add a lot of variety in our food nowadays to keep active, keep our healthy lifestyle.
As many colors as possible in your plate.
Yeah, that would be great.
When we talk about protein intake, a lot of people say, hey, have pulses, have dal, have legumes. These are going to be your daily protein intake. But then all these dal, pulses, legumes, these seem to be more of complex carbohydrates rather than really protein. So what is your perspective on the role of complex carbohydrates in the Indian diet?
It's actually good. Having complex carbohydrate itself isn't bad. But then, yes, when it comes to protein, a sedentary lifestyle person should at least be having 0.83 grams of protein multiplied by their body weight, which is not as high. So if you are having enough dals, if you are having enough legumes, you still can meet those needs. Okay. You need to add more nuts. You need to add more seeds. You need to add a lot of dals. You need to, again, have a lot of variety of things. And then you can still have that much of protein. Now, the problem arises when you think about amino acids. Okay, so amino acids are the building block of protein, yeah? And complete amino acid profile can only be achieved when you complement your dal with rice. Considering methionine and lysine, one of each is not available in one of these. So if you make khichdi out of it or have dal and rice together, the amino acid profile will be complete. Okay. An interesting fact about it could be that vegan protein nowadays, which we are getting in the market, they do this only. So they would have pea protein and brown rice protein together. So, it creates a complete protein then.
Okay, so it's more of how the right mixture of food, the right pairings.
Exactly. So you need to have as much variety. Apart from that, just make sure that you are complementing your dal with some rice or any sort of other lentils with any kind of whole grains. Yeah. So, and also it's not that difficult to get as much protein if you just think about your, daily food intake. If I'm asking you to just take 0.83 grams and your body weight is 60 grams, how much would that be? It won't be as much. It's not that difficult. You just need to think first before having any food. You need to pre-plan your meals.
A lot of thought needs to go into each meal.
Right.
Now, you talked about maida and whole grains. What is the difference?
So maida can be found firstly not only just as maida or it's just not maida. You can find it in literally any kind of refined food produced like white bread, muffins, buns and all. And it is stripped of essential nutrients like magnesium, B12, potassium. So it's almost stripped out of essential nutrients, and then you get it. The shelf life will definitely get increased because, of course, whole grain, it can get spoiled if you don't take care of it properly. But then maida still has a higher shelf life. Yes. And that's why many people prefer having that instead of your regular whole grains. And it's not as tasty, our minds are very primitive. We want to go for the direct sugars. Yeah, we are very primitive. We still want to go for the highest sugar, highest calories possible. And that's why I know I'm going a little off topic, but have you seen that when somebody's cooking hamburgers or somebody's cooking, any gulab jamuns and all, I'm just giving you an example, and you're going past it, you will definitely for a second think, okay, I want to have it a little bit at least. The saliva glands suddenly will start, they'll start acting up, the secretions will start happening, the ghrelin hormone will start working and all that. So this happens because our minds are still primitive. We still want that as much energy we can acquire from outside to save ourselves from starvation. I need that. So we need to control that behavior. Nothing can be done about it. It's in our physiology. So, so this maida and all, you need to just cut it off. If you just do it for like 10, 15 or 20 days max, you will develop that resistance. You will end up not having it for a lot of days. Then you now have developed a lot of control on yourself.
Shelf life. I've observed something very interesting this year. I like to do kitchen farming. So when I plant tomatoes,
Oh,
the tomatoes from my kitchen garden doesn't have shelf life, 1 or 2 days, and it starts rotting. Versus the tomatoes
correct.
that we get in the market, which has a shelf life of maybe around 2 3 weeks. I think the longer the shelf life, the less the nutrients.
In
And
some senses, it is correct.
yeah, and this goes probably with vegetables also. So doctors say you eat green leafy vegetables, you inculcate fruits in your diet. How do we ensure and how do we even know what we are eating is the right, organic food?
Right. So if possible, go for, as much local produce as possible. Try not getting a lot of ingredients from outside. Like, for example, there are many fruits and vegetables available nowadays to us, which need to be transported from somewhere else. Yeah. So let's try not doing it. Try having local produce, which is being farmed around us only as much as possible. Like one of the examples could be your kitchen garden. Since you talked about tomato, let's take that as an example.
Yes.
Farmers usually don't wait till the tomato has been ripened up properly. They will harvest the tomatoes when they're still green. And then it comes to our urban areas. Then they use this ethylene gas many times. In many cases, I'm not saying that everybody is doing that, but it's a very common practice. They would use ethylene gas to ripen them up. Then they become red, and then we feel like, okay, this is fresh tomato. In your kitchen garden, you may have noticed this difference also, that your tomatoes are not that, it's not that as attractive. It may have a different shape. They aren't, right? But then they are 100% more nutritious because they still have their vitamin C. They still have, heat sensitive vitamins, which should be there. Yeah. So when you transport these tomatoes from somewhere else, definitely the heat sensitive, the oxygen sensitive, the light sensitive nutrients have already lost. So it's devoid of many nutrients. Of course, we can't always get the fresh produce, but then yeah, it's the second best alternative. They also add a lot of fertilizers on it. You may have seen that these small animals, they are not eating their tomatoes, but then definitely they'll be eating your tomatoes because it's fresh.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a very good sign that if birds are coming to your kitchen garden and eating your tomatoes, that means it is good. And on a side note, the tomatoes that you must be cultivating, they will have a different flavor altogether because they have these reactions. Yeah, they have these reactions. Vegetables know, so they develop certain chemicals to save themselves from birds, to save themselves from these insects, and more chemical reactions meaning more flavor.
The salad that I'm eating using store-bought tomatoes or vegetables might not be as nutritious, even though I'm thinking it's salad and it's healthy.
Yeah, but then that's next best alternative that we can get here. I cannot cultivate my own tomatoes, even though I would want to due to limited time. So yeah, it's the next best alternative.
We see a lot of these canned food and processed snacks, and it's easily available, ready-made meals, processed food, packaged food. All these are, you go outside, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
In your experience, how does food processing affect the nutritional value of food?
So there are a lot of different kinds of processing. When it comes to canning, it's still a better practice than many other processing methods, considering some nutrients like fiber, protein will still stay intact in it. Of course, vitamin C, again, the heat sensitive ones, B12, might not be as easily available in the canned produce. You need to look for the options which have lesser amount of salt, since salt and sugar are very good preservatives in themselves only. So brine solution, you must have seen, they use in canned products. Of course, people living outside India, they have this very common practice of having canned food products because freshly, they don't have time to cook their own meals in many cases also. So they would buy canned puree, they would buy canned chickpeas. I know it's very convenient. Another thing to look for while buying canned food produce is bisphenol A, which is used in canned lining. And it can get leaked in your produce, in your food, and that can create problems for you in later life. So, it's better that you choose the canned produce with less salt, less sugar, less preservative. So read the label carefully and without BPA.
Yeah, I was coming to that. So we all need to learn how to read labels in food items.
Most definitely, yes.
I want to come to carbs and proteins and fats, good fats, bad fats. They're called macronutrients, correct?
Yes.
What kind of role do they play in creating a balanced diet?
Fats are extremely essential. They are being demonized in today's world that fats are bad for you. Not all fats are bad. Fats are in fact good for you in many cases if you're choosing the correct one. As per ICMR, if you just consume enough nuts and seeds. You don't even need your regular oil. Again, coming to good fats, unsaturated fats. Saturated ones are bad for you. I'm just leaving out ghee and this freshly extracted coconut oil. Rest of saturated fats are almost bad for you, like margarine and all, palm oil and all that. All of the vegetable oils are bad, firstly. So you can opt for ghee. You can opt for cold pressed moongfali oil, groundnut oil. It's better that you choose unsaturated fats. Yeah, a good example of that would be you need to choose the ones which are cold pressed. If you just go to the market, wooden pressed, cold pressed oils are better. For high heating, high heat cooking, you need to go for the oils which have higher smoking point. So you cannot cook your vegetables or you cannot deep fry in olive oil. Even though it is good for salads and all, or extra virgin olive oil. Is sauteing, olive oil is good for sauteing and all for Western cooking. But if you're going for Indian cooking like puris, parathas, and all that, you can go for mustard oil because it has a higher smoking point. Ghee should not be used for cooking. Ghee should be used for just spreading onto things. So yeah.
So even with the best food, it's all about how you use it.
Correct.
Popular diets like keto diet, intermittent fasting, or detox diet. What are your thoughts on these when people are trying to gain weight or lose weight?
All have very different implications. Keto diet, in many senses, good for people having seizures. It was developed only for seizures. To correct that, yeah. But then there's something called So there's something called keto flu, which happens when you just start keto dieting, and you'll end up having a more irritable brain, hazy thoughts. You will have more forgetfulness when you just start keto diet. You may end up losing a lot more weight in very short duration, but then that weight loss is not that sustainable because you can't keep following keto diet. Nobody would suggest you to follow it for your life firstly, and you wouldn't even want to.
That's so true.
Yeah, so it's very high in fat, very low in carbs. It's in the extremes actually. It will help you lose weight, but that weight loss will not be sustainable. What's the use if you're just gonna get it back after 6 months? Yeah. Then we talk about intermittent fasting. It might be good for a lot of people, but then extremes are always bad. Like if you're only eating once in a day and you end up over consuming the food, then it's obviously not good. You still need to be mindful of what you are eating in that eating window. For many people, it can still prove to be good. Like if you're not eating after 5 p.m., it is not recommended anyway to eat after 5 p.m. It could be a good option for you. Then detoxes depends. What do you call a detox? A detox could just be eating healthy. A detox might need not to be just the liquid diet. A detox is meaning just leading a healthy lifestyle. Usually the extreme detox, given to certain patients should only be given for 1 to 3 days, not more than that. It's a very short-term thing, a very quick fix just to detoxify yourself after a vacation or just to reduce that water weight. Then a detox can prove to be helpful, but then it cannot, again, is not a very sustainable way to live.
A lot of people are doing keto diet and they say carbs are bad, but our body does need carbs, correct?
Do we need carbs is that it's important to generate energy. It can ultimately get broken down into glucose and then end up being used by our cells for energy generation. Now in keto diet, what do? If we break it down, we are just converting our energy source from these glucose to ketones. Because when you metabolize your fat, you end up having ketones, which can again be used for energy. Yeah. So this shift is already very difficult, and then sustaining is impossible to manage. Like I haven't seen anybody in the world who has been able to sustain keto diet, and also it is not recommended after 3 months in most cases.
A lot of people these days are talking about gut health and the importance of gut health. How important is it in the overall nutrition and well-being?
So gut health is extremely important. There's an entire colony of bacteria. It's actually not one colony. It's actually a lot of different small colonies living inside your gut. And they're not always good. There's always good bacteria and bad bacteria. You want to grow good bacteria, of course, and reduce bad bacteria. If that bad bacteria overgrowth happens in your body, what will happen? All the harmful toxins and these bad bacteria can get out of your intestine and just let out loose in your system. So it's extremely important that you are taking care of your gut health. You are having pro and prebiotics. Prebiotics would be the food that you need to multiply, the growth of good bacteria. So things like garlic, onion, asparagus. So these are really, really good for your good bacteria. And then if you want to have probiotics, you can have curd, yogurt, even though they may not be as high in probiotics as one might say. Apple cider vinegar with mother. You can also have kanji. You can have kombucha, miso. So there are a lot of things that you can add. Sauerkraut, nowadays Korean food is, very popular. So sauerkraut is something that people can make at their home. Kombucha is something that people can make at their homes also. It is difficult, but once you learn it, it's not as time consuming as the benefits are. The benefits are actually pretty good. Also, if your gut health is good, you will end up having better immunity than most people. If your gut health is good, you will have a higher metabolism. You will even have a sharper brain because your gut is alive in many senses, right? So of course, it must have a brain of their own. So if you have a better connectivity from your gut and brain, what we call gut brain axis, if that is better, then your cognitive function will be better for sure. One of the best ways of aligning them would be mindful eating. So when you are eating, just stay focused on eating. Just feel the texture, taste, salt, sugar, whatever you are eating. If you just concentrate on that without any interruptions of talking, of using cell phone, watching Netflix, if you don't have it, then definitely, the digestion will be better. All the things, all the nutrients that should go in certain pathways will go in those pathways only. And you are absorbing as many nutrients as possible.
Amazing. Healthy eating, we have talked a lot about. We all need that occasional binges and indulgences. How do you balance that?
So occasionally, if you are going out, it's better that you try having the food products which may not cause you as much harm. Yeah, try to go for a little more protein options. Like if you can have paneer, you go ahead with paneer. If you can have tofu, go ahead with that. If you are a frequent non-vegetarian food consumer, you can also go for fish and chicken breast, things like these. Try not going for fried food, high salt food, high sodium food in general, high sugary food. Don't go for these. So some of the options could be having sushi. I'm not saying that it's 100% healthy, of course, but then if I compare it to samosa, definitely it is healthier. Yeah, if it's ultimately devoid of nutrients. If you just see how samosa and kachoris are being cooked, you might not have it the next day. So then you can go for other healthy kind of drinks. Like instead of going for just cold drink, maybe have buttermilk, maybe have kombucha. Yeah, don't go for cold drinks and all because they end up killing your gut bacteria. Since we were talking about pro and prebiotics just now, if you have a lot of refined food, they're just gonna kill your good gut bacteria. So it's better to go for something that is delicious and healthy. Go for avocado. Healthy fats are really good for you. Go for avocado salads and all. Quinoa, buckwheat. These are the things which have complete amino acid profile, which is very rare in vegetarian food. So you can go for that. Some of the easy tips would be if you want to reduce the portion size and if you want to increase the nutrient density in your food, better to have a bowl of salad before your meal. Then go ahead with whatever you want. One of these things could be that. Plan out where you're going to eat so that you can decide the menu beforehand. Yeah, try having a lot of water. One person needs at least for females 30 ml water per kg body weight, and for men 35 ml water per kg body weight is required. So make sure that you're hydrating yourself. In most of the cases, it will be 2 to 3 liters of water only. I'm just putting it in perspective that's how it is calculated. But then, of course, if you're working out regularly or if that particular day you end up sweating more, you need more water in such cases.
Thank you so much for your time. God bless you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.